Welcome to the Coach Debbie Potts Show, where high performers learn how to stop guessing and start aging stronger, not slower. Your host is Coach Debbie Potts, functional diagnostic nutrition practitioner, metabolic health coach, and host of this show. Here, we dive into the why behind fatigue, stubborn weight, hormone chaos, gut issues, and declining performance. Using real data, functional lab testing, metabolism analysis, and simple daily habits that actually move the needle. Whether you're an endurance athlete, an executive, or simply committed to becoming your strongest future you, you're in the right place. Let's get started.
Hey guys, it's Debbie Potts, the host of the show, the fit and healthy athlete from the inside out, aka Coach Debbie Potts Show. I wanted to talk to you again about how you can create the future you blueprint today to move from survival to resiliency. Think about everything you've been told about how to be healthy might not be completely complete. As I've done different episodes on what might be going on in the hood, investigating what is actually going on, picking up clues, and really working on the foundations. Starting with gut health. What if your gut isn't actually the problem of your health issues? What if you're bloating, your acid reflux, your multiple food sensitivities, hormone changes in middle age, chronic fatigue, poor recovery from every workout session? What if you're experiencing brain fog, memory issues? What about stubborn body fat? How about low testosterone? Sleep quality, or your performance is declining in your workouts, and we blame the aging process. We just think this is the new normal. This is what aging's all about. These are not independent problems, but what I'm trying to get across to you, they are all downstream clues telling us something much bigger that has been happening for maybe years. So this is what I want to go into a little more today and explore. Explore more to learn how to be your best self in the future. In middle age, we should be doing everything we can to improve that outcome, because I don't know about you, in a few years, I want to retire or work part-time and travel, do bike trips, go hiking, go trail running, go swimming, and thrive every day, not struggle, not be afraid I'm going to not be able to get up the stairs or get up out of that chair or get one end to the airport to the other and get there on the train in time. This is what I see happening to my mom and all of her friends in their 80s. The outcome doesn't look too good. I don't want to end life that way, struggling. I want to thrive. So as a long-term personal trainer, Ironman, triathlon, run, cycling coach, health coach, functional diagnostic nutrition practitioner, functional nutritional therapy practitioner, really all together I call holistic health practitioner and being a health investigator to create your future you blueprint. So over the past 25 plus years, going 30 years, I've worked with high performers, executives, entrepreneurs, top people at Microsoft, Amazon, different companies as I came from Seattle, Bellevue, Washington, Medina. Everybody I worked with was busy. Endurance athletes, running their own business, CEOs, burning the candle at both ends. We've all spent years, decades, pushing harder, training longer, sleeping less, saying too much yes to everything, and believing that we were superhuman. We were invincible. And we believe that discipline solves every problem. And often these clients, similar to myself, they're incredibly, I don't say about this about me, but most of my clients are amazing shape. They're lean, they're strong, they're successful. But underneath that healthy exterior, I found that myself and other people I started working with, their physiology is telling a very different story. I kept seeing patterns when I do metabolism testing. People's metabolism was slower than it should be for their age, their gender, height, and weight. even though they were doing what they said, all the right things. Their heart rate variability scores were rock bottom. They actually had poor metabolic flexibility, but they ate clean, healthy. They were not burning fat as their main fuel source. They're burning more carbohydrates than they should at rest and during low intensity exercise. They started to struggle with loss of muscle mass. Then they started to feel more digestion issues. And then middle age, hormones start to get all wonky. Inflammation, recovery. Again, I keep saying this every episode. Your body isn't failing if it's giving you these signals. It's just adapted to what you've given your body. This is the key. And I want to explain a little more how I'm starting to put together a different approach, investigating how these adaptations work with what we call the 5R protocol in functional medicine to give you a protocol. But I've tweaked it a little bit. It's not simply a gut repair, rebuild, restore program, a different protocol, but a resiliency building roadmap. So most practitioners, we learn traditional functional medicine's 5R protocol is remove, replace, renoculate, repair, and rebalance. This is excellent framework. But what I've concluded the last few years or this past year, I know from experience, most people begin at step 1. And we're missing something. Without even asking whether the body is even capable of responding to step 1, remove the inflammatory foods, remove the toxins, remove the mold from your environment. Yes, that's super important. But think about it. Would you renovate a house when the foundation is sinking? Would you install expensive fancy windows before repairing the structure? No. And that's exactly what many health protocols do for people. Because I've tried them with people and then I started to pay attention. Not everything works. It is an N=1 journey. And that's why you need to work with a practitioner who can guide you and realize, we need to adjust this or that. Not ChatGPT, but working with a practitioner who knows how to pay attention to those signs and signals, those red flags, and know how to course correct. We often throw probiotics at someone with poor stomach acid. We prescribe antimicrobials to someone who can't even clear toxins with their liver, being too congested. We recommend fasting to someone that doesn't even have metabolic reserve. They're not even burning fat yet. They're burning carbohydrates. We ask someone to do a detox when every drainage pathway is congested. They're constipated. They're not able to sweat in the sauna. They're not able to breathe properly. They're not peeing enough. They're not pooping every day, at least once. So we wonder why people often feel worse when they start on a new protocol. You think you're fit and healthy, you're doing the exercise, you're trying to eat clean food, but what's going on under the hood and what is the right order of operations for the protocol? It might not be that it's wrong, but it's the timing. The order of operations. Biology needs order of operations. And the body is what I'm learning. Also, as a health investigator, has the need to prioritize survival before performance. The body will always choose protection before optimization. So as I said in a previous episode, think about your smartphone. When your battery on your cell phone drops to say 5%, your phone immediately begins to conserve energy. The screen dims down. The background apps are going to shut down. The performance of your phone slows way down. It's not broken. It's just adapting. And your body is doing the same thing. So when your nervous system perceives chronic stress, whether that's that emotional stress, it's overtraining, your blood sugar is all wonky, high and low roller coaster, you have chronic inflammation, your joints feel stiff, pain, inflamed, your sleep is just a struggle, you can't digest your food, you feel uncomfortably full, you are surrounded with toxins in your environment, infections, whatever, unresolved trauma. All of this together shifts you into conservation mode. Remember, your energy will be diverted away from long-term maintenance and towards immediate survival. This is why I couldn't get better myself. I was doing the labs, I was doing the supplements, but I didn't change my life. And now I realize I didn't tell my body it is safe because I kept pushing. I kept trying this and trying that for years until 2020 hit. We were all forced to slow down, isolate ourselves, and start working on our environment, self-care. We moved, my husband and I, from Bellevue, Washington, June 19th, 2020. We sold our house in May 2020, put it on the market April. Remember what happened in March 2020? A month later, we said, hey, we're working remote. Let's get out of here. I moved to North San Diego, lived in an Airbnb out in Valley Center, Timbuktu, North San Diego, so we can bike ride. And we biked all the time for 3 months and then worked every day. But we biked every morning, every weekend, and went to the beach and walked and enjoyed life outside in nature, quality of life. We had to slow down and change that schedule of going from morning until nighttime, nonstop. And this is why I feel my body was in survival mode. You might have hormone changes, immune system off, your recovery, ability to build that muscle, your hair thinning, your sleep is crap, and you feel that you're lazy. It's not that you're not trying. You always have to ask, as I say, do I have enough energy to safely invest in growth? Think about your bank account. Do I have enough money to put away into investment, into 401k, into building my financial nest egg? If I'm not making any money and I need to budget, I can't put that money into building my nest egg. I can't build my 401k when I don't have money coming in. So if you don't have enough energy to invest in growth, and the answer is no, everything changes. And as a FDN, a nutritional therapy practitioner, FDN is a health investigators, functional diagnostic nutrition practitioner. Really, I think of us just working on the foundations. We're picking up clues, looking at data. I don't diagnose any diseases. I investigate dysfunction. Symptoms are not the problem. Remember, they're information. Your lab values we get running lab tests, we look at 3 to 5 labs altogether, not just one, because we're picking up clues. Every symptom, every blood marker, every stool test, your hormone panels, your metabolism test is another piece of a much larger story. And so I'm constantly asking when I'm looking at someone's data and all the clues, what stressors exceed this client's capacity? What adaptations have occurred in this client's body? Which of their systems has started to compensate first? And which systems are now exhausted, burning out, breaking down? And what is driving the physiology? Because everyone's different. Your genetics matter. I've done 4 or 5 different genetic reports. I'm not as resilient to stressors. I need more support for choline. I need to do more power workout than a lot of endurance workout. I need to be more cautious of my carbohydrates because I'm more prone to type 2 diabetes, insulin resistance. Genetics matters, but so is your lifestyle, the choices you make, your hormone stage in life, your athletic background, and your microbiome is really important. So we need to look at what's going on under the hood. What are you eating? How are you digesting your food? How are you breaking it down? How do you feel after you eat? How's your energy through the day? When you work out, what's your heart rate? What's your intensity? What do you do for your strength training? How do you bounce back from that workout? And how do you know when you're ready to go again? How many hard days are you doing? Are you doing zone 2 or are you doing zone 3? Are you doing interval training or is it really just zone 3, tempo workout? Because interval training requires zone 4, zone 5, down to zone 1, recover, rest-based interval training. So all of this is important to look at when I'm investigating what should this client do to improve their future self. Everything contributes to the train. So I don't start thinking about what supplement should we use based on my findings. I am starting to look at things differently. What is your body trying to tell us? So that's why I came up with the flow method. Because a stagnant system doesn't heal. Flow is restoring movement through the body, freeing the nervous system, improving lymphatic flow, improve oxygen delivery, nitric oxide signaling, support waste removal through the drainage pathways, restoring healthy bile flow. Every one of these systems communicates with the other system, metabolic harmony. If one of those players, instruments, systems become congested, everything downstream slows down. So often when I talk about bile flow, I think about a river. And if the debris blocks the river upstream, the water doesn't stop existing. It simply can't move anything, can't move efficiently. So the same thing happens in the body. The bile doesn't flow. It's stagnant. We get a swamp instead of a river. The lymphatic flow needs to flow from your head down through the lymph nodes in your neck, through your chest, diaphragm. Poor vagal tone slows digestion. Poor digestion reduces nutrient absorption. Poor nutrient absorption is going to impact your mitochondria. If your mitochondria don't have the nutrients it needs, they're not strong, and the cell membranes aren't strong, we don't get the energy. And then we don't have the energy to help make bile. And then if we don't have bile, that's going to change the microbiome. And the microbiome will produce fewer secondary bile acids and butyrate. We talked about in other episodes. The microbiome, certain bacteria strains, good bacteria, will create secondary bile acids and short-chain fatty acids. And they act as signaling. And they have a role, which I'm learning more about. It's crazy. Inflammation will rise if we don't have these signals. Information. We need that information. Everything's connected. So that's why I created this flow method, because flow creates capacity. Then we can build resiliency. Creating safety before healing. Not about all the supplements, as I have done in the past, and I do add supplements, but we need to make sure the body is ready. Give it the ingredients it needs, the foundational supplements, but we have to do the lifestyle work. We have to do the prioritizing sleep, movement, breath work, grounding, sunlight, fresh air. Giving the signal to the body, does the body feel safe enough to heal? Because so many of my clients live, as I did for years, in chronic sympathetic dominance. We're always doing, we're always training, we're always turned on, producing, pushing. Our body doesn't receive the permission to recover, because I did that and I felt that I was lazy if I was unproductive and not doing something. So I wrote my book, Life is Not a Race, It's a Journey. Finished that. I wrote the Holistic Method Manual in a workbook. And same thing when I wasn't working, before I got my adrenal fatigue, whatever, metabolic chaos, I was doing races. Ironman, finished that. Qualify for Ironman Hawaii. All right, now I'm going to do a marathon, half marathon. All right, it's trail running season. All right, now it's time to get ready for triathlon season. So it'd be year round, nonstop. Always pushing, always doing something. So when we start working on the reset, we need to lower the allostatic load. So we improve your sleep, make sure blood sugar is stable, get a CGM, work in your circadian rhythm, your sleep-wake cycle, doing breath work, monitoring your heart rate variability, building that vagus nerve, parasympathetic tone, resiliency. We work on your exercise volume, work on recovery. It's not about doing less, it's creating that physiological safety for healing to become possible. Because healing is incredibly energy expensive. The body will not spend energy repairing tissue until it believes survival is secure. So go back and learn about that cell danger response, how mitochondria are sensing. And they're getting the messages from the messenger messengers, sending those signals. Are we safe or not? Then we work on restoring, building digestive capacity. Can the body actually extract nutrition from that food you're eating? Digestion isn't simply a mechanical process. It's actually neurological and hormonal and chemical. Immune systems involved. The food enters the mouth, right? You smell that food. You start to anticipate food. So the brain anticipates digestion. That activates the vagus nerve. That vagus nerve is telling the next order of operations, stomach acid to increase, proteins to unfold. What's called the intrinsic factor to release to get that B12. CCK hormone signals the gallbladder, fat's coming. Get the bile to be released in the small intestine. The pancreas is alerted, release the digest enzymes. And then the motility, MMC, is coordinated to coordinate nutrient movement. Everything is a signaling cascade. And if the first domino falls, every domino after will become weaker, less strong. Does that make sense? So low stomach acid means the protein remain folded up. So the minerals are not released and the amino acids are not liberated. And that doesn't happen, the next phase doesn't happen. The pancreas receives a less strong signal. The gallbladder releases less bile. So fat digestion declines. Our fat-soluble vitamins A, D, E, and K and our essential fatty acids become more deficient. And the secondary bile acids we were talking about decreases. And because the microbiome is changing. And then our inflammation goes up. Mitochondria lose the essential building blocks. So now we see recovery, hormone, energy, all changing. So this is why digestive capacity matters far more just beyond digestion. And so that's when we start to work on rebuilding and restoring flow and terrain. But we need to make sure we understand how amazing the microbiome is, how important it is, because the microbiome changes if we don't have the bile flowing, have the right environment in the gut. So it allows the beneficial bacteria to thrive and not let the opportunistic microbes take over. I always imagine that in our garden. When we first moved here, we have this huge yard and there's weeds, more succulents everywhere. We had 3 huge storage containers of yard waste that had to become taken up. We had to pay someone to take it. We had so much overgrowth because it was neglected for a year or two. So the bad guys, the opportunistic microbes, took over. And we need to change so the good guys can take over. So we had to clean up, get rid of the weeds. So then these good, pretty hibiscus flowers and other plants could see the sun and get the minerals it needed so it can grow again. We had to make space. And inflammation will increase as the immune system reacts to any imbalance. And you'll see increase in leaky gut. Our mitochondria lose essential building materials with fewer nutrients as amino acids, the fatty acids, the micronutrients. They're all properly absorbed and delivered to the cells. Our muscle recovery suffers since the body lacks both the raw materials and the energy production needed to repair tissues after we work out or after any stressor. And then middle age, we say all about focus on these hormones declining. But hormones will decline if the body prioritizes survival over reproduction. And remember, I didn't have kids. I couldn't get pregnant. It was too much. My body was in survival mode, not into reproduction. It was focused on keeping me going. So I had to reallocate resources. This is why digestive capacity matters. And before we can restore the flow and train, we need to work on what happens first. Then we can start rebuilding communication. Not just killing the bacteria, get rid of the weeds, but improve bile flow, improve motility, get the good bacteria taken over. And then those certain bacteria will produce the metabolites, butyrate production, secondary bile acid production, help our immune system improve, rebuild that gut wall lining so we have a stronger barrier. And then our mitochondria are healthier and they're not in cell danger response, and they'll send the signals to growth, to repair. And then we talked a ton about bile as a signaling molecule, and bile acids, when they leave the liver, come through, and when the gut bacteria take the bile, I think of them as eating it, and they spit out secondary bile acids. And what's even more fascinating is that these gut bacteria, when they spit out these secondary bile acids, they activate receptors. Think of that messenger system. Send that message to make it land. It needs to have a signal. And the receptors influence GLP-1 production, blood sugar regulation, energy, inflammation, immune, thyroid, mitochondria, muscle metabolism. So now I started to realize poor bile isn't simply a digestion issue. It's a communication problem. And the same applies to the short chain fatty acid butyrate that other bacteria will make, metabolites. Butyrate isn't just a fuel for the colon cells. I'm also geeking out that it's a signaling molecule that helps regulate inflammation, supports gut barrier integrity, improves our mitochondrial efficiency, enhances our insulin sensitivity, and what's crazy, it supports vagal signaling. And butyrate communicates with the immune system. So if our bile and our butyrate decline, the conversation between our liver, the microbiome, the immune system, and the brain begin to deteriorate. That's the terrain, and that's what we need to rebuild. Now, we do need to repair and address these hidden stressors. Then we get into the lab testing. Maybe there's H. pylori, as I always seem to have elevated, parasites that are too elevated, candida, environmental toxins, heavy metals, hormones, persistent inflammation, chronic viral infection. There are all sorts of different things. And that's what we might need to get to. So it's not just what your labs show, is always asking the question, what clues are we getting? What do these labs explain about a person's physiology? Because labs without context create fear. And context creates this understanding. Every marker gets correlated with your history, your timeline, your symptoms, your training, your recovery, your metabolism testing, blood chemistry, if you have genetics, GI stool tests, your hormone panel, your lifestyle, and how resilient you are. That's how a true root cause health investigation works. And remember, the last part of my phase is the resilience, building the future you. Most programs ends once your symptoms improve. But to me, I think this is where we start. Then we intentionally build your muscle, your bone, your hormone resilience, metabolic flexibility, mitochondrial efficiency, your brain health, recovery, healthy aging. And this is where your performance returns. We're not forcing it. It's because we rebuilt the systems that created the performance naturally. Your innate intelligence, your body's being able to adapt again so you can recover faster, you can sleep better, improve digestion, you think more clearly, and you can see that muscle being built up. Your body composition changes, your workouts change, and you know what? We age smarter, train smarter, we age stronger, we feel more resilient. It's not an anti-aging program. It's the resiliency program. So if we bring it all together, what I call the flow method creates your capacity. My own version of the 5R method is to build your resiliency. All together, we can restore the communication throughout your body. When we can improve that communication, we can see some adaptation. When the adaptation improves, I think you'll see your recovery bounce back faster. And then your performance will improve. And eventually, health becomes something you no longer have to fight for. So if there's one thing I hope you can remember from this episode today, your body is never working against you. It's always working for your survival. Our innate intelligence is there helping us keep alive. So all those symptoms you might experience, your adaptation, every lab marker, any moment of fatigue is a part of the body's innate intelligence, the conversation happening within us. Your goal, I hope, isn't to silence this conversation. Our goal is to work towards understanding it. Because once we understand the signals, then we can improve the terrain. And when we improve your terrain, your body begins doing what it was designed to do all along, to adapt, to repair, recover, and build. And that's how you stop chasing symptoms and start intentionally creating your future you blueprint. All right, enough of me blabbing, but I want you to understand how important this is to understand or help somebody else. So if this changes the way you think about your health, your future you, your future self, I'd love for you to help me get this message out into our community. If you can share this with another high performer who's doing everything right, but still does not feel as themselves, please hit subscribe on the podcast app and head to YouTube and hit subscribe as well on my platform, Coach Debbie Potts Show. Again, I hate saying my name, but it's just easier than saying the fit and healthy athlete from the inside out at a cellular level, improving the aging process. So next time we can go even deeper into how bile acids, butyrate, this FXR, GDRF5, GLP-1, the microbiome, mitochondria, what I'm diving in this long, deep rabbit hole is how we can form one of the body's most powerful metabolic signaling networks. What can we do to do that? I believe we can improve how we age and be our best self second half of our life, because now we know how to collect the data, collect the clues, and figure out the personalized program. So get your future you blueprint. Head over to debbiepotts.net, my website, click on Discovery Call, and we can go over option for that signature 6-month course. Made it affordable so you can do it. So you're not just training for your next race. You don't just work towards your next work promotion. I want you to train your biology for the next 30 years, because the strongest future you starts now with the signals we send our body today. So stop waiting until you are actually struggling, and let's get on it now so we can feel even better. All right? Sound good? I look forward to hearing from you. Schedule a call with me on debbiepotts.net. Talk soon. Thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening to the Coach Debbie Potts Show. If today's episode sparked a light bulb moment, that's your sign to stop guessing and start building your personalized future you blueprint. You can learn more or book a discovery call at www.debbiepotts.net. Be sure to follow the show on YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook. Just search Coach Debbie Potts. 2 T's. If this episode helped you, please subscribe, rate, and review. It's how we help more people age with strength, energy, and clarity. Until next time, remember, age is inevitable. How you age is not.